up in all white coupe, these niggas might think I'm racist. Ain't even tell her go try them draw, just try and get naked. I just want new buzz down, baby, it's driving me crazy. All black tints on the big marshmallow, I got a nigga going MIA. Plug,
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? We are back with Extra Creddy episode 4, where we got lots to cover today. I'm Dylan. I'm joined by Eric and Chugs, and we will hop right in. How are you boys doing?
I want to do that like Cam Newton when he returned to the Carolina Panthers and scored the touchdown. I was like, I'm back. Like, and
Dad
I
C is
miss.
back. Congratulations to Eric. He had a
Yeah, thank you,
beautiful
thank you.
daughter.
It's been a good month and a bit so far, and I didn't want to make any firm commitments over that first little bit, but now I'm kind of back to regularity a little bit. So yeah, I've just been farming interactions on Twitter, and then we decided to bring in this guy down below, Chugs Areno.
Chuggy Chugs. The snake
The
cam is
ultimate
less
inst-
snaky
the
today.
ultimate instigator, interaction farmer. You know the drill.
Biggest fan of MSU out there.
The best
Right down
Division Two
below,
team.
Chuggy Wuggy.
The best Division Two team in the College God League, Montclair State University, headed by my guy Claw.
They are the best, that's for sure. Okay, so let's hop right in here. We're gonna take a peek at some NACE Star League standings. I know a lot's happened since the last
Wow.
time we've taken a look at them.
The most important league out there, NACE. That's the one that everyone gets recruited to college for. It's not for CCL. It's for NACE.
There's a good reason we're starting with NACE and not ending with it.
Yeah,
But
let's not spend too much time.
we'll take a peep right here. So we're gonna take a look at Open Premier to start off, and then we'll go over to Varsity Premier. So we can start in the Eastern Conference. UCF Knights and Brock up top, which totally makes sense. St. Clair Academy standing right there with them. In East 2, we got Carleton Esports and Northeastern up top. East 3, UAH Blue and Texas State. And then we got EMU COD and UT Chattanooga in East 4. And then in our Western Conference, we got ASU and LBSU, Varsity Gold. Anything you guys want to touch on with any of these teams and any of these conferences?
I'll start. First of all, I feel like the competition for this Open Premier Division is a lot like it's not as strong as I thought it would be considering the prize pool. Like the prize pool, I want to say is like 5K. It's the same as the Varsity Premier prize pool, I know. And in the fall, like I felt like there was a bit of a gauntlet as far as the Open Premier compared to the Varsity Premier. It was a lot better. The Varsity Premier seems to have kind of evened things out with this semester, and we're finding a lot of the strong schools have like their second team almost in this Open Premier Division. It might also just be because there's so many more leagues in the spring. But like you're seeing like teams like St. Clair, their academy teams 5-1. Like Texas State, their academy teams 5-0. Akron, their academy teams 5-1. Westerns is 4-2. Like it's not all the top like the Fishers and I mean I know Fishers says they're 4-2 there. That's a bit of fugazi. I think there's a couple forfeits there.
Mm-hmm.
But like regular season wise, at least you're seeing some academy teams come into play so far.
Yeah, and I'll say this right here. This division definitely has a lot more teams than our Varsity Premier, which it wasn't that way, I don't think, last year. I know we were signed up in Open Premier, and there definitely wasn't this many teams last time. But standings are close. We see a few good teams making some moves and all going for that 5K. But like you said, I think a lot of teams looked at the prize pool and just decided, well, you know what, let's try and go in the league a little lower so we have a better chance at winning. And I don't know if that's going to work out for them because the competition looks a lot more heavy loaded on this conference.
I think Chugs can probably speak on this too, but like I found there's a lot of forfeits in NACE this year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
like
sorry to cut you off. I feel like it's just like the way like the competition's like kind of like almost broken down per like conference or division or whatever in NACE is you have your like 2 or 3 teams you recognize from CCL that will do well. You have your middle of the pack teams, which are like a lot of like the teams academy teams that aren't in the varsity premier, and then you have like there's always the group of 3 or 4 schools that nobody like has ever heard of, and I don't know about like in general, but like over like the past 2 years we've been in NACE, we've had teams that are from schools I've never heard of, and when we ask to reschedule, they just go, "Oh, we can't do that day. We'll just give you guys the win." Like,
Dude,
okay,
actually, I found a lot of the time with some of those schools that you're talking about, like, it seems like they must just have, like, an esports program and, maybe
yeah,
they have, like, PCs at their school. Like, some of them that I've talked to have literally not owned the game at home. Like, they're like, "Oh, we can only play when we're in the facility, and, like, we have our other COD team playing at that time," or, like, the same player will be on the COD team and the Overwatch team and the Rocket League team
Yep.
and shit like that, so you have to reschedule around all of it. So it's kinda weird. Like, I wanted to see what that Guelph team was gonna do because I know there's, like, some pretty decent kids that go to Guelph. Like, Storms goes to Guelph, and he's, like, a top 64, top 32 type AM player, but he wasn't playing for their varsity team, and so, yeah, they had some guy named Burnt Toast, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he was having a stroke over the controller, but, they went 1-6. I think their only win was a forfeit over, like, Fisher or something. But as you see, like,
Yeah.
I think with playoffs, as those come up, some of the teams who are here for the prize pool are gonna take things a little more seriously. Like, I think a team like Fisher, it's pretty. I don't know. I think you look around, it's pretty clear they're gonna take this whole open Premier Division. I'd imagine. Like, the next best competition is Brock. In all honesty, maybe UT Chattanooga if they put it together and play more like they have in the past.
Yeah.
But there's like other than that, like the top three from every division make playoffs, and some teams are going to be qualifying this week. I think some divisions have 2 weeks left, some have one as of right now. Like I know our team has only 1 week left. This one, the game that's going on right now, and so like yeah, it seems like it's Fisher's to lose really. I think they're surprising the second place though. So Brock, good luck. Make that run.
Yeah, go for the bag. Yeah, well, represent Canada. That's something we gotta see. But we'll hop right in here. We'll take a peep over at our varsity premiere. So let me just transition over here. Take a look at our varsity Premier League. We have in Eastern Conference 1, St. Clair Saints and Wichita State tied at first. I believe, if I'm not wrong, did St. Clair play Wichita yesterday?
yep, yep.
So they lost, unless that was CCL.
Yeah,
Wich-
CCL Wichita
Wichita
lost 3-1.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so they're gonna end up probably playing for first in that, and then we got Baldwin, and Cumberland tied for first in Eastern Conference 2. JMU and Davenport, who are performing in NACE but not in CCL, are
Yeah.
tied for first here. Shenandoah's right behind. And then in Eastern Conference 4, we got TAMIU and St. Edward's tied for first. And then Windsor just following right behind. Then we got Keanu, Oklahoma Christian, top of our West Central division here. Anything you guys want to touch on here?
This division looks a lot stronger than the Open Premier, in all honesty. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like teams just saw where Fisher was going and were like, "Yo, let's go to the other one." Because, like, I could actually see a few teams taking this division. Like, I'd imagine Oklahoma Christian probably should win it, but
Hmm.
I'm not gonna write off St. Clair. But then like St. Edwards is still a team that's been really good in the CCL in
Really
the past
dominant.
and
Yep.
recruited pretty well, depending on what lineup you have out there. Like if Thresh is playing, then I'd imagine that they're going to give teams a run for their money. JMU has come out of nowhere in the CCL this year, and supposedly they're not hacking after some PC checks this week in CCL, and so, I mean, maybe they make a run, but and Davenport, same type of thing. It's like if they start scrimming, who knows? Who knows what they can do? They were a team. I'm pretty sure they went to the LAN last year, so
Yep.
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 yeah, that was a top 8 CCL team last year. So like, I don't know. I think there's a lot more competition at the top in this division, at the least.
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting too because there's like quite a few teams that like have already we've seen on CCL stream for CCL matches, let alone like off stream just in league matches. Like I think it was first week St. Edwards played Texas A&M International, and they ended up winning like 3-1 or something like that. And then same thing with St. Edwards and Oklahoma Christian played already in CCL kind of thing. Uh, and it's kind of cool like they get to have like a rematch, like a second match, and like a little like I guess like a like mini series or rivalry with NACE, barring if they play each other in the playoffs for yeah, Oklahoma Christian's sake. But it is nice to see like there's some Canadian teams in here as well with Windsor and Fanshawe, and St. Clair obviously making
And
uh
Keanu.
Oh yeah,
Keanu,
Keanu,
too.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, right there.
Keanu, top
bad.
of the Western group right now,
I
5-1. They got a big win the other week. I think I can actually pull that up right now. We'll go to Westcliff just because we're on the topic of NACE. But just the other week, we saw a big upset between Keanu and Westcliff, and Keanu pulled it through in game 4 and beat out Westcliff.
I think we gotta give Keanu their flowers a little bit here. Like as much as it's easy to meme, especially with them being like they want their respect and they want their respect amongst the Canadian teams, and I know that. And it's kind of weird because like they don't get to play us the way that we all get to play each other because they're the only Western Canada team. And funny enough, we got to see them play against like Hawaii, which was what, like a 10,000-kilometer difference.
Yeah.
I wish we got some ping checks for that. I would have loved to see the scoreboard. I'm sure there was some 100 pluses there. But Keanu, they seem to have recruited pretty well for people that are like unknown, and they have to get them to go up to the oil sands in Fort McMurray. That can't be the easiest selling point at the end of the day. And no, that's not even meant discriminatory, but like to get someone to go to Northern Alberta, I think that
It's out
Brody,
there,
for
yeah.
example, I think he's American.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
they got him.
he
from the
is,
States.
yeah.
And he plays top 64 in the last Challengers Cup. Like he's not like I didn't know of him before, but like it's
They got
not
that
like
oil money up there, Eric.
Yeah, seriously, but no, I think that's good for Keanu. Hopefully that's the like changing in the tides because I know they've had a rough time in CCL. But the real story here is Westcliff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is going
Former
on?
pro Aqua losing to Keanu.
There's a reason he's a former pro, obviously. No, but then Justin, the last guy
Oh, no.
I'd see going to throw fists, went all out on Aqua here. He called him out because Aqua brought something up saying that he's definitely locked in again. This was about 3 weeks ago, and then they lose to Keanu.
That was when they were left off. Westcliff was left off the power rankings, I believe, or they were like ranked pretty lowly after the first 2 weeks of the CCL. I think they went 0-2 the first 2 weeks, and I think he was trying to write it as a one-off. It surely has not been a one-off. It doesn't look like they're going to make playoffs in NACE right now. I believe they're 1-6. I'm sure we're going to get to that in a second in CCL.
Yep.
But like, yeah, more importantly, like, will they be able to come back from that? It might be too late. I mean, I guess the thing with CCL is you automatically qualify for playoffs and you're in D1, so it doesn't really matter. And West to some might be, I mean, I guess the Texas teams are in there, but like the Cali side of things, there isn't all that many strong teams. So who knows? Maybe they have a chance of coming out on top of the West by the end of the semester. But it's not looking great over there.
No, it is not, and they got to pick it up if they want to have any chance of even making playoffs, period, or even remaining on the team going into next year. Like, no chance.
Well, I think that's what Priestley was trying to bring up, and I think that's why, like you said, he's not the one you expect to get into debate. If anyone knows him, he's a pretty level-headed guy. But I think he's kind of ticked off because he's on scholarship and he kind of knows the requirements that a lot of schools have for scholarship players.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you had your Windsor team.
Yep.
I know you guys have requirements as far as, like, how much they had to scrim. And, like, there was
Yep.
just responsibilities when someone's paying you money to play Call of Duty.
Yeah, and he was totally arguing that point. He's saying, you know, I work my ass off for my scholarship, as do my teammates, and you're just collecting a free bag when tons of other people deserve that opportunity. I think that's the point he was trying to get at. Aqua did not enjoy that. He was not having it. But I think Justin did have a pretty fair point there. You know, and that ends up coming down to Westcliff and their esports program. They're going to reevaluate, and obviously if they get absolutely dog shit on this season, the team's going to be capiche.
Well, they already like, I don't know the situation fully, but obviously they had 4 players there last year who have left and went back to, I think, the schools that they were at prior to Westcliff now. So there's clearly been some sort of team drama there in the past. Are they over that? Who knows? I guess we'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. Aqua just needs to keep swimming. That's all he needs to do. He needs to figure his shit out. Anyway, we're gonna take a peep in to some College COD standings now. Let's take a look here. We'll start off in Division 1. We'll take a look over at the West and Midwest Division. So we'll take a look at the West standings first. So here we got Oklahoma Christian 8-0. That's pretty expected. CSUN sitting up there, St. Edward's sitting up there, Texas State, New Mexico State, UT, all teams that have a good chance of making it through playoffs and putting their foot down, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think just from playing CXP, one of the big stories of the West, like I said this before, the California teams don't seem as strong as maybe they would have been in the past. Like the Westcliff team doesn't look great. LBSU is they're like a good club program, I believe, but they're not like gonna square up with the varsity programs here. It's a lot of the Texas programs. Obviously, Oklahoma Christian's at the top, and we sort of expected that. But
Yep.
other than that, it's the St. Edwards, the TAMU. That like TAMU's a big school. Like, just I don't think they have any recruiting power. They just happen to have a lot of fucking students.
Yep.
TAMIU,
Yeah.
I don't know much about them, but they came out of nowhere in the summer, it seems like, and I'd imagine it's a similar circumstance. Texas State, UT, those are big schools. And at the end of the day, you're able to recruit a little better when your pool is 40, 50,000 kids as opposed to being like 2, 3,000 like some of the other schools out west. So the Texas schools are hard to play, and they got a server. And that not saying that's that definitely is an edge at times. They're obviously good schools already, but fuck, it is hard as a Canadian school playing against some of those schools. You realize like the best we're ever gonna get on a server's like 25, 30 ping.
Yep.
And like they're pinging that to our servers. When we ping to Texas, like we're getting like 60, they're getting like 2 or 3. Like, ooh, it's tough online COD against some of those Texas teams.
Yeah, well, to add on to like the like your point about like the Texas schools, like in the California schools, there was a few, back in like Cold War and maybe the start of Vanguard that were like solid, like out in California. But then I think they just kind of like fizzled out. Like some like the Texas like schools don't. Not only are they big in terms of size of population, but the guys they do have playing for them on their main teams are in third, fourth, or fifth year already, and they've been playing since season 1 or 2 of CCL. It's like they've been around, they've been playing with each other, they've all been playing against each other, kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see, like within the next year or two, when they start bringing, whether they just promote guys on into scholarship or whether they recruit guys in. It'll be interesting to see what some of these Texas schools do.
I know at the least, like Texas State has some sort of facility. I know, like they have like a room, I believe.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think they don't have any scholarships or anything, from my understanding, and they're good. Like that's a good 4 players that happen to go to the same school. That's the dream, in all honesty, for
Yeah,
all
it's
of
a
us
Canadian dream.
yeah, for all of us non-varsity programs out there. That's sort of what we strive to be, and so I hope for their sake that they're able to get a little more support. Maybe just to give some respect before we move on from this subject. A few unheralded teams in the West. I would say TAMU first of all. I think that TAMU, Texas A&M, like they're obviously like a historical CCL team. I'm pretty sure that's where D'Lo and Landon went,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Back in
Season
MW.
like
So
1 or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, so like they've had good teams in the past, fully different team, and we've played them, and they're good. Like I think, obviously, like it's tough to tell for sure when a Canadian team's playing a Texas team, but like they're a solid team that's non-varsity from my understanding. And then the other one that people haven't talked about too much, but I've seen some people responding to top 25 lists being like these guys deserve more credit, is CSUN. That's the one California team that seems to be hanging with the rest of them. I believe they have their best player is a guy named Polo, from what I recall. I don't know if he's a Challengers kid. I truly haven't heard of him, and I know most of those guys. But yeah, he seems to be doing this thing enough to be able to hang with some of those other teams like ASU and TAMU. So props to those teams.
Lots of things going on in the West D1. I know you brought up TAMIU, but I just saw they're 1-7, but that's D1, so maybe D2 they'd be doing better. But yeah, they did kind of come out of nowhere. But let's take a peep over at the Midwest Division. What do we expect? Nothing new. Northwood 8-0, St. Clair 7-1, Wichita right up there 5-3. They just lost to St. Clair. I think it was 3-1 last night. So that was a close match. They have a match coming up soon, I believe, in NACE as well that will determine top spot. So that will be big for them. We got Illini Orange 4-2, SIUE 4-2, both land teams we've seen. and then U Michigan 4 and the 3. Davenport 4 and 4, not holding up like they are in NACE, but still doing a little something. And then the Braves 3 and 4, something you'd never expect, looking back at the past years, but teams have evolved.
Yeah, I mean, my first comment when I see this, and it's really been since the start of the season, how funny to you, Dylan, in Windsor, Ontario, knowing that you live in the Midwest, eh?
I know, man. They've always grouped us and St. Clair in the Midwest just because we are so much more. We're 4 hours away from the rest of the teams, so they're like, okay, this team can go with the Detroit, Michigan, and the rest of them.
We get caught up on the title for sure. If they didn't name it Midwest, if they like just named it like Central Division or
Yeah.
something, or Great Lakes or something, I feel like we wouldn't
Yeah.
comment on it at all.
No, it's definitely interesting because it does beg the question of ping too, because ping can be bad at times. Like I know even like St. Clair's complained about it, we've complained about it. Like there's a few schools that you play and it's just horrible, but nothing's worse than a Keanu, Hawaii, so can't really complain there.
I mean, the first thing I'll say, we've played this team a couple times this year. That Michigan team is legit to me. I know I've heard some other people trying to say that they're overrated, but like they lost Decim, who was a good player, like a top 64 challengers player last year,
Mhm.
and you'd think they were going to get significantly worse, but they brought in some guy out of nowhere named Merk Braun. He does his thing out there, man. Like he dropped 47 on us in a control map once. He's really fucking good. And so, and I don't know if he's a first year or if he was already at Michigan. That would have been insane if they had blamed Decim and him last year.
Yeah.
But no, Merk is really good, and Michigan might be like top 2, top 3 non-varsity programs right now. And then other than that, that Wichita team, they came out of nowhere and they had a big test finally this last week with St. Clair.
Mhm.
So we kind of found out where they're at right now. Still, they're maybe, I think that maybe where they're on the power rankings, that top 12, top 13 might be a bit ambitious at this point. But they did beat an Ottawa team so far. But I just don't think they're ready to take on the St. Clairs yet, or take down the St. Clairs more so.
Yeah, I think this year is a weaker Ottawa team, but Ottawa still carries the same name value because of their dominance they had the past 2 years. Um, I don't know, but, like the Michigan team's so weird to me because like at the beginning of the game, they had some pretty convincing wins. They looked, pretty solid. Uh, but then they go on stream to a team like and lose to a team like Davenport, pretty convincingly for a team in Davenport that was struggling in the beginning. So I don't really know where I stand right now, like with the Michigan team. I feel like they're going to be one of those teams that, you know, loses games they have no business losing, but then they look, lights out other weeks.
Yeah. At the start of the year, though, you would have said with Davenport like that they should win that matchup with Michigan.
Yeah,
Like Michigan
yeah,
was a team that a lot of us last year who played against them in the Northeast thought maybe they're a bit overrated where they were. They were in the top 25 all year, and I swear
Yep.
it was because they beat St. Clair. And anyone at St. Clair would tell you like it was like week 1 of the season. Their arena wasn't fully set up. They were like playing in some fugazi setups.
And that same week we took St. Clair to map 5. And then a month
Yeah.
later we got absolutely milly-whopped. So
Yeah, like from my understanding, it wasn't the same St. Clair with the situations going on around them there. So I don't know. There was a bit of an asterisk by the end of the season, but Michigan held on to that all year. So I expected them to be overrated coming into the season, but no, they've exceeded expectations for me at least. Davenport's the one who's, aside from that Michigan game, they've underperformed.
I
yeah.
agree.
They finished really hot. Like going into the LAN last year, they had dropped like maybe 1 or 2 maps and like something like that. They were, I don't know the exact stats, but I know like they were on a heater towards like the end
Yeah.
of the stage 2 there.
Like name value wise, Davenport should be a top team. From my understanding, they haven't practiced in any which way.
Yeah, that's
And
what Gecko was saying to me on Twitter. He said if they actually scrimmed, they'd be good. And I'm like, well,
it sounded like they
that's your
did the
problem.
week leading up to Michigan, or like a few days leading up to Michigan. But I think things might have fallen apart again because like the CXP Open on the weekend, Anthrax left just mid S&D and just dipped.
What?
Like just was like, I guess he didn't call map 1 according to Gecko in the Discord. He was like, yeah, he didn't call map 1. Map 2, he was just like, hey, gotta go in the middle of the map, and just left, and they forfeited the rest of the tournament. So they got some weird shit going on over there. who knows? Like that's outside of the game stuff. So who knows if that ever comes to fruition and if they ever sort that out. Another team that people have talked about and mentioned to us is Illini.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'd be different if they had Dan Ghosty right now, but they had some impressive wins at the first few weeks of CCL. But now, like, they took Queens to Mat 5 and CXP, and we started hearing some murmurs. Maybe they probably are ranked a little too high, and then Queens, I heard, beat them right before this today. So, and that's not a slight on Queens. Like, I want to gas that team. That team has talent up the yin yang. They've just
100%.
been not able to figure out how to play the variant game until recently. Like they were great in the Warzone tournaments in the summer because you could tell they were talented.
Yeah.
And now they've played a lot more outside of CCL, and I think they've become a lot better players because of it. So, but Illini might be hopefully the wheels aren't falling off. We'll see. We'll see.
And
if
I
they-
do just want to bring up Queens when they played Farmingdale on stream, I believe the other day. Was it this week? Last week? Either way, they lost 3-0, but it was a close series, and Farmingdale's right up there, top 6, top 7, right? So
Yeah, top 10.
Queens is definitely making some strides, which is good. But yeah, Illini's just not the same. Once Ghosty's gone, it's just you can't gun the same without your CDL Pro.
Yeah, it might have been wishful thinking that he was going to end
Even
up playing this year, but
yeah, even like besides Ghosty, like they also like lost some like other like solid players.
Yeah, no crit, no win, right?
Like
No
yeah,
quit,
well,
no crit, no win.
Yeah, Crit went to Texas, and even the guy named Versu was solid last year for the team. He's no longer playing for them either. So definitely like I feel like it's just a case of people even without Dan Ghosty are just kind of. I feel like a lot of those rankings for like the middle of the pack team just come based off of like a name basis, rather than actual, who's on the team and how the games are going. But it is good to see a more, it seems that the league is a lot more competitive with, top, 10 to 15 teams losing to unranked teams, in quotations.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's
I think it's a topic we're going to touch on a little later, but quite a few of the top teams in that division are going to be playing at the same LAN next weekend.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be really cool to see. I think that's going to be just like you might be able to differentiate some of those because it's a lot of the teams that are in like the 8 to 20 range, like St. Clair, Michigan, Illini, SIUE, and so I think you might get a bit of separation in that pack when you see them on LAN together. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, there's gonna be no gray space. Like it's either you're gonna get gunned or you gun, and that's just the way the way land goes. But
yeah.
we'll hop on over and take a look at the Northeast and Southeast divisions now of D1. And what do we expect? Fisher right up top. They've been playing solid as always. Farmingdale, like I brought up, almost Queens almost was able to do something, but wasn't able to do anything. Farmingdale's just looking like a really, 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 really strong team. Arkin right up there with them. Buckeye, and then Archon. Well, how do you say it?
Akron, man.
Akron,
You
oh.
don't know the kid from Akron, LeBron James? Like,
Jesus.
Not
And then,
Mike.
hey, we got
That's a
top
slip up.
25 OTSU that made it 1 week in the top 25. I don't know if they're out now, but
yeah, they're out. They're out already.
yeah, they kind of got millywopped.
That's how it
so.
goes being a Canadian school, though.
Wait. I don't. Let's start with them because I think we're the most familiar with them.
Yes.
No slander to them at all because I think they're really good.
No, they
and
are.
I think that they're a very different team than what people expected coming in, unless you were us, I guess. Well, not even all of us. There's some people here that thought they were gonna have Island Boy rolling out there again. Moby makes a huge difference.
Yes, he
Shadow
does.
makes a huge difference. That Schmutz guy seems to be holding his own and getting better. It's too bad that they don't have Muss, who was
Yeah, Muss
supposed
is
to be there at the
gross.
start of the year. He's gross. I've heard he's not full time right now, so he wasn't able to play. But that's all good. I just wanted to say, like, I said it out on Twitter publicly at the time. They were kind of like people just saw what they did in 1 week and they didn't fucking watch. Like they didn't. It was people who had never played the team or seen the team play or anything like that. And they put them too high right away. Like set the expectations too high. They put them like
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, it's like 16, 17, 18. I see
Like,
it on some. It's
Come
like
on, like I think they totally deserved votes. They were winning against teams like Penn State. Like they fully were making an impact. But to just like escalate them so quickly, it's like, did you really think that they were gonna beat the like, I don't know, like if they were to square up against like FGCU or like some of those other teams who have showed against top teams consistently for a while
Yeah.
that they were going to beat them. Like it was just going to be hard. And so I think then when they saw them lose, they're like, "Oh, that's our 18 team. Why are they losing to these
Yeah.
unranked teams?" Whereas if they got voted in at 23, 24, I think they still might have been on that list. So
Yeah.
give
Well,
them a little
even
more respect, though.
And I think
it's
that's what happens with a lot of the Canadian teams that make it right in that like 20 to 25 range. Like if you have one loss to anyone who's in that top 25, like they're gonna knock you out. And it's always been like some sort of bias that way. But like the top 25, we'll get on. We'll talk about top 25 after. I'll save that for after.
Yeah. I'll say okay, and then like if we're looking at the standings right now, there's teams in here that should not be in D1. I'm sorry. Like there's just like Ohio, man. There's some teams in that D2 that would take them out back in 30 minutes. Like
Yep.
I promise you that. Like some of these teams are a result of being bracket plus. I'm not gonna say not most of them, but there's a couple in here that would not be top teams in D2. I'm more looking at Ohio and like from experience maybe that LVC team. Like I know that
yeah, they were not very.
they
Yeah.
didn't even like put themselves in the Premier Division, I'm pretty sure in NACE because they thought their team was going to be shit this year. Like I'm pretty sure they're playing in like one of the plus divisions, I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm speaking out of my ass there,
I'm
but
not
like
I'm not 100% sure, but like they were good last year, just not this year. And we saw quite a few teams who didn't really deserve to be D1 make it through just because of the way the bracket was formatted and the way that play-ins worked for with the two opens. But I don't know. I don't know. There's no surprises, I'd say, in this division though. Like
it's still the weakest division. Other
yeah.
than like the only team that has a chance to win it all is Fisher in this division.
See, now I want to ask about Brock. Has Brock just had tough competition to start off, or are they just having a rough go?
Well, it's I don't know, kind of mix of both. Like we
Speak
uh
the truth, Chug. Speak
yeah.
the truth.
Well, it's definitely it's tough being from like an outside, you know, perspective for the team. Uh because like or four out of our five losses have been map 5 losses,
Oh, that's
and it's
unfortunate.
just it's unexcusable because we have tryouts, we have 10 guys or whatever, we have everyone coming back from next year, and then all of a sudden the game starts to get into its life cycle, and teams are starting to get together for CCL scrims and stuff, and they just have no interest in playing. The only guy that wants to play is Gavin, and actually plays on his own time. We have guys that are, rather hit top 500 in roles on Overwatch, or like immortal ranks in Valorant. There's just no interest to play the game from our end. I've never liked using not scrimming as an excuse because there's no reason not to scrim when you sign up and when you have a team, especially for something like College God League. There's no reason why, you can't take an hour out of your day, a couple times a week to scrim, unless you just don't want to. So it's just a matter of they just don't want to. They just have no passion to play and no will to play. So I kind of took a step back and I was like, you know what, you guys do what you want to do. I'm done, trying to chase you guys around, get you guys to get on to scrim. And, I wasn't going to put in, as much effort and care for it if the players weren't.
No, and I get that.
Typical not making excuses there, Chugs. Like I respect that. You guys, but at the end of the day that Brock team, and they're probably not the only team in the list like that. I look at Rutgers,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they have a lot more talent than their 4-3 record as well. It's just
Yep.
like not giving a fuck at times,
Mm-hmm.
and not even that you have to scrim all the time or anything, but just everyone needs to be on the same fucking page. Like
Yeah.
if no one wants to scrim, that's one thing. If half your team wants to scrim, like you either have to suck it the fuck up and scrim with them, or you need to like give up your spot on the team.
Yeah, and let
That's
Yeah.
kind of
someone
how
else
I
in.
see it.
No, and
It's
that's exactly what I said to the team. Like when Windsor wasn't scrimming, I was like, either you guys start scrimming, or you guys stop playing. Like it's not gonna be fun to continue to just lose. And the
yeah,
minute we start scrimming, things turn around, and that's what a
Especially when
lot
it's
of
winnable
teams need to
games.
do. Yes, exactly.
it's just being accountable to your team. It's like at the end of the day, like you have to all be on the same page. You're gonna if you are resenting your teammate because they don't ever want to get on with you, but you always want to get on or go get her, like I don't know, you're just fucked. Like we haven't went into a scrim in a month, but that doesn't mean that like I don't know, we haven't been trying to scrim necessarily, but the players still play together outside of the game at
Yep.
the very least. Like at least they're not hating on each other. Like they still have the chemistry going for them at the very least if they're not playing the fucking game together. But Yeah, no real upsets in this division because there's so
No.
many mid to top teams, and
Mhm.
then only one real top team, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. We're gonna switch over to the Southeast here. We got Mars Hill, UONA Dragons, the For Lease School, JMU, Full Sail, LSU, HPU, all up top, and then we got our bottom half, Newberry, Mox, UCF, FIU, Alabama Crimson, and Concord. Concord, rip to the good old days. But I mean, there's nothing really surprising in this division other than HPU was good last year and not great this year.
I don't know. I think there's one from an outsider's perspective surprise. I've been in scrims, so maybe not as surprising to me, but like Mox not being like they were a top 15 team last
Yeah,
year, and
yeah,
now
you're
they're
right.
losing to some schools that maybe like name wise you wouldn't expect them to lose to. Um, but this is a stronger division overall than like Mars Hill is a team that like they're maybe not the most known players, but they're like good top 64 players or
Yeah.
borderline top 32 players. You have NA Dragons. I don't think those two teams have played each other. They're also undefeated. They are well, obviously, then they haven't. Like they're top 32 kids at the very least.
Hmm.
James Madison. I don't know where the fuck they came from, but supposedly they're the best. I've seen those Full Sail guys scrim. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Newbury, I think's on scholarship. Like, and then Mox is still in there. Like, there's so many good teams.
Yeah.
Y-
Sorry to cut you off. The Mars situation, yeah, like buds with Jamie, and like he's been like dying to have like a COD team. He was, uh, working, his ass off recruiting for, a year and a half. And I kind of figured there's a lot of people like didn't know, really know they were. Like they knew they were, childish kids, but like they were like some of them. I think there's like two or three of them that like have played together quite like a bit throughout their careers. So that's gonna help them translate right away. And I'm pretty sure they have a facility there and everything. And they just like the one thing I've noticed when watching their games is their teamwork is some of the best I've seen. They may not have, the gunny at, like Fisher or Northwood, but their teamwork is, next to none in my opinion. Um, the mock situation is definitely an unfortunate one because like they return, two or three of their players that kind of bounce around Superior. He kind of like comes and goes, but it's tough for them because when you go from having Click in the lineup in Vanguard, you're basically trying to replace, 15 to 20 kills every map in a respawn with him that you're just, you got to find some way to make up in the aggregate.
Yep.
And you're just not going to be able to, you can't ask, let's say, a first year or second year guy that's, new to comp pretty much come in and, ask for him to drop 30, 40 kills against some, high end CCL teams in the Southeast. So I feel like a big problem for them is this year having, especially with the game playing the way it does, for them is their big challenge, and I don't think they've quite done it yet, or been able to figure out yet because of their record. But I think their biggest challenge is figuring out how to alter their play style so that they don't have to get those 15 kills, but they achieve the same result.
I will say like with them, they have, and it's not a fault of theirs at all, but holy fuck, the community has backed them way too much in terms of like they have been on the CCL rankings. I'm pretty sure they're on the most recent one still.
Yeah,
And
they are.
that's not to say they're a bad team or anything. They're probably still in the conversation. But at 3-4, and I don't think they have any notable wins really at those 3-4.
Well,
Like,
I mean, I just want to
They
bring
beat
this up
High
right
Point,
now.
but
We streamed UCF versus Mox, and UCF won map 5.
do you know who
And
played in the High Point game?
yeah,
Like, Debbie
yeah,
play?
it was Sebi and
Okay.
Sexton were
If
both
if
playing.
Sebi played, then maybe that's a
Yeah,
better
it was a
one that
map
I can give credit
five. It
for.
was first week though. It was the first game on stream,
Mhm.
first week of the new season. So it's kind of. I feel like it was kind of. It might have been like that St. Clair, Michigan from last year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that UCF team that beat them in map five when I was casting them. 20 minutes later they went and played us in NACE and we rolled them 3-1. Except with the exception of a search, the hard points were 100 plus points and the control was 3-1 or 3-0. So.
I'll I'll make mention of chat here
yep.
because a guy from FIU's commenting here, and he said that they made a roster change and then they 3-0'd Newbury after that.
Yep.
That's like we
That's
played
typical.
Newbury this week in the Open, the CXP Open, and they're a pretty solid team. Like we took the
Yeah.
hard point off them, and then they took the next two maps and won the best of 3 on us. Like, but I think they're all like 4 recruited kids still
Mhm.
at that school. Like Frico TM, I think's been top 64 kid at the very least, and the other guys, I don't know if they're S&D kids or what, but like they did at the very least they did enough to get recruited. So that's a solid team. So if FIU is legit, maybe they got their Chief Keef on their hands or something who got called up from academy and interested in
There's
keeping here on out.
yeah, the two other like just teams I want to touch base on is I think I'm not sold. I think like the same kind of team that's in the same boat as like chats in my opinion is LSU. They're on the rankings list every week. And Petrov, he's all right, but like their hard carries, Ronan, however you want
Yeah,
to
they just
pronounce it.
added him this year, right?
Yeah, and I just I don't know. I feel like they're kind of in the same boat. Either team could be 4-3, 3-4. But I've always seen them getting gas in the timeline. Uh, and then the other team was Full Sail, sitting at 5-4. But I'm pretty sure they placed second in the preseason CCL tournament.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. It's an interesting team because I feel like, and I hear like sometimes there's teams go and scrim them one week and they get
Mhm.
05 in maps, and then the other weeks they're 5-0ing them in maps. So I feel like they just got to sort out some kinks in their team player. I don't know what they got to do because I haven't really got to see them, but they're definitely better than 5-4 in my opinion.
Yeah, we've experienced Full Sail in scrims before, and they're definitely like one of the like top 3 scrim teams that we played against at the very least. And that's not to say that they're not good outside of that.
Yeah,
We do have someone, I think Lavelle
yeah,
from
yeah.
Full
He's in the
Sail in
chat.
chat, and he could probably confirm this. But I thought I saw on the timeline, I think one of the players, one of the starters, is taking a step back. I believe due to their mental health, and so I would just tip them for at the very least. I know that's hard to do, and
Yep.
to admit that you needed to step back and take that help. But at the end of the day, it's still just college COD. Most of us, are 99% of us, are here for fun and aren't really getting anything financially or really outside of the game from it. So wish all the best to him, and
There's a lot more
I wish the
important
team good
things in
luck.
life.
So,
That's for sure. You got to
yeah.
take care of yourself and take care of school and focus on things that are a bit more important than COD. And that, once again, like you said, that's typical to be able to take a step back, analyze the situation, decide this is what I have to do. So all the best to him. But we are going to hop on over to quickly touch on some D2 teams. We aren't going to spend too much time on this because then we're going to go over to top 25 and D2
Why don't we just
rankings.
do the
But
D2 rankings
want to just
instead
go
of
right
doing?
there?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I feel
let's
like
just
there's a
go
lot
right.
of boring matches. Do top 25 and then let's do the
Yeah,
D2
that
rankings.
sounds good. All right, we're going right over to the College COD top 25. So I do want to ask, we have the community power rankings and the player power rankings. Is that two different councils?
Yeah.
So they have a council of players, then council of people in the community, so like coaches, that kind of stuff, right?
Dylan, we have a rep on it.
We have you do.
Yeah,
Oh,
No,
we
it's not me.
do. We
It's
do.
not me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Dawson.
yeah. The
Wait,
I believe the community's like some like casters and like actual like CCL people, and
Mhm.
the players is like people that Logan from Akron kind of assembled.
Okay, so which
I
one do
think
we want to take a peek at first?
the community one too might have like former players as well. It's just people who pay attention
Yeah.
from my
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
understanding.
Okay.
people that have been around.
Well, I mean, I think the community one is the one that we've taken as like this is the real one
Yep.
because the biases are eliminated a little bit. It's
Mhm.
people who are a
Yeah,
little more detached and able to just like view without being too tied down to a team. So I definitely emphasize that one.
Okay, we have it
yeah,
up,
for sure.
and we have Northwood first, Oklahoma second, Fisher third, UNA fourth, Mars Hill fifth, St. Edward's sixth, St. Clair seventh, Texas State eighth, New Mexico ninth, and FSC 10th. So Farmingdale. So that's our top 10. The rest are right up on screen. You can go to College COD on Twitter if you're listening and pull up their power rankings. They come out every week. These are week 4 that we're talking about right now. But anything interesting here, guys?
I mean, I would just say like looking at a community power rankings, the thing that I noticed from like just sitting in scrims at times, the as much as you remove the bias of like you're not voting for your friends or your teammates or whatever, like you also don't get the bias of like, hey, we've played against that team and we know they're overperforming, or like we know that that matchup was a fluke, or like host, like it's kind of more results based, and also more you probably get more swayed by the bitching and moaning and shit on Twitter. And so like I don't know, some of these teams, and I wouldn't name names or anything, but there's definitely teams who have talked their way onto this list, in my opinion.
Oh, right
People
there
who've
with
stayed
you.
relevant on Twitter and tweeted enough and replied to enough shit to the point where they're getting maybe, and not to say they're bad teams, but they're getting a boost. They're maybe getting the tiebreaker because of it.
I'm gonna say some names. Arizona Bobcats, their ass. They're only there because Beeston's like, running his mouth in Twitch chats and Twitter. That guy, he peaked in Vanguard on Westcliff. He's nothing
Wonder
now.
what? I'm
He
saying this
couldn't gun
right
me.
here. I swear I saw Beaston tweet yesterday. God, we fucking suck. So get him off the
and
list
they
if that's
just
the
got
case.
put down on stream too. Get him out of here. Davenport,
Wait,
get him
wait,
out of
wait,
here.
wait. I'll give a story. Not that it matters because it's Vanguard, fall Vanguard, but he refused to move the default time on us of a playoff game in NACE, and forced us to, in doing so, forced us to play without Pookie, and we 3-0'd him without Pookie.
Yeah, you guys were better in Vanguard with that Pokey.
anyways, that was, we dunked on
Yeah.
him that one time. Do I care about fall Vanguard? Absolutely
Uh,
not. But
just makes it all the more better.
it's a little bit satisfying, when you see that. But yeah, I do think like some of those teams, I can't comment on it. Like CSUN was one I kept on seeing people reply being like, hey, like they need to get in the top 25. Results wise, they seem to be doing pretty well out west. So typical to them. Maybe that's a team I need to
But
pay attention to more.
yeah, but what is with us all of a sudden back? We used to always just, you put a new entry in or someone's getting bumped up from votes, they're going, they don't go higher than 20. They're getting put in at 25, 24, 23. Why are all of a sudden we're getting teams put in at 19 who we've, barely heard anything about, or OTSU, no shame to them because, they're a solid program, but they should never have been 16th, 17th, or 18th. They should have, been put at 25, 23. Arguably, Lamar, only one D2 team should be in top 25, and right now it's FGCU. UT Chattanooga, get them out of here. Arizona, ass. Davenport, if they didn't beat Michigan, I'd say get them out of here. Maybe 25.
I got Jamie here in the comments saying, "Why is there still a D2 team here, bro?" And then he got a
There's two.
reply. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
two.
there's
So
two.
Lamar's the other D2 team. I've
Yeah.
never heard of them, but
They're
Lamar's
Texas.
they're all top 64 challengers players.
Yeah.
They're like they
They're
probably
the what we were talking about, the Twitter interactors.
they are, but at the same time, like I do think that they're not the worst team on this list.
yeah.
Okay,
No, there's definitely. Yeah, I'm not sold on. I don't know. I'm not sold on Ohio State, on Buckeye Cod. I'm not sold on them.
I think they may, or like they're being rewarded by kind of what I said about the Northeast Division. Like there's clearly Fisher on top, and then I think there's kind of a mishmash of teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And OTSU was one of them last week, and who knows, maybe Queens will be on it next week. Like they're all pretty good teams, but they don't feel like elite teams, and they feel like they can all kind of beat each other on any given week. So it's hard to rank them.
See,
would say.
I
Yeah.
don't understand how Queens isn't on here. Like, even that they got 3-0'd by Farmingdale. Like, Farmingdale's still a really solid squad, and they put up a good fight. But Queens could beat, I'd say, 18 down on this list easily.
I don't know.
Am I faded for that?
I don't know. I'm not putting Queens up against TAMU. I'm not putting Queens up against Davenport. Like Queens is good, but this week
Yeah.
was their biggest win in my opinion. Like this week I heard they just beat Illini. That's a good win.
Yeah.
That wasn't in College COD, but that's a pretty good win.
TAMU isn't even on here.
Yeah.
TAMU?
Texas
TAMU's
A&M
on there.
Maroon.
Never mind. I'm blind. Yep. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I
Yep.
think, and there's like a big difference with it. I feel like the player power rankings versus community takes into effect the outside leagues more than the community power rankings does.
Yep.
So you may see Queens on like the player power ranking versus like UCF. The only reason I can even possibly fathom they're on here is because they beat Mox and everyone's so high on
100%.
Mox.
Yeah.
And
Extra
we streamed
credit, Cass. Anyway.
Yeah, they got
that's
the
the
extra
extra Creddy
credit boost.
exposure.
Yeah, we
But one
get.
thing I kind of wanted to touch on, the kind of getting us away from like the 25, 22 range,
Mhm.
is at least from last year, and they haven't changed much. I feel like teams that are kind of like just unfortunate because of who they've had to play and the opponents just being having a slight edge. Teams like SIUE and like Ottawa, sure they've lost a player or two, and people graduate, go to better schools, or focus on challengers, but those are still teams that like you give them an inch and they'll take it a mile. Like they know how to win, those games, in the crunch time. Guys like Slow Mo and Mythic and D-Day like on SIU, like they know how to win. They went to the LAN. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure they placed like top 6 at the LAN.
Yep.
Top
I'm
6,
seeing
top 5.
I'm seeing a few comments here saying
I'm seeing
Queens
that too.
just beat 18. I literally mentioned that. I said their best win was
Yeah,
having
get
just
loud
beat
with them.
Atlanta.
Get loud with them.
That's weird. Anyways, just asking the two other people here, if there was a team that you wanted to move down on either of these lists, what would it be?
Chugs, you want to go first?
Uh it's tough because if I could, regardless of record, I'd move Akron down. Because they've had a lot of close games for their wins. Not saying they don't deserve them, because they do. You win the game. Uh, but at the same time, I feel like, and the times they've lost, it's been fairly convincing. And it sucks because they lost their best or second best player in Biohazard because of academic stuff. But I feel like, I don't know. Sometimes I see him at, pardon me, like 16, 17. Some weeks I see him at like 13, 12.
Yeah.
On like the power rankings that everyone holds. That's the 11th testament. um I drop Illinois down, if I'm being a little more fair.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they obviously just weren't able to replace the losses of talent. And I wouldn't have CSUN as high, right out the gates. If they continue to win, then yeah, they can slowly climb. But you also got to ask yourself, the strength of the opponents and schedule in the California teams and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna say SIUE. I don't think they've pulled out any really, really, really notable wins to have them like top 11.
They beat the team right below them.
They beat the Braves, yes, and I was
Yeah.
about to go on to the Braves and say Ottawa should also be dropped down because they haven't performed like
Yeah.
they have. Like I think Ottawa could sit in that 15 to 20 range this year. I think a lot can change between I'd say 9 to 12. Like I think in the next 2 weeks we're gonna see a lot of teams in there switch up.
I would I think I'd bump down Wichita State. I just think that they're one of those teams that we were talking about, like we moved them up too quickly. I think
That's
to put
true.
them in the
Yep.
13 was very bold, because I don't see them, like I know that they beat Ottawa, and Ottawa's maybe a shakier team because they have
Lost some talent, yeah.
lost some players, like they have Lightning and Ethan Too Nice, but their other two I think are Stewie God, who's I
Yeah,
think still a
Stewie.
top 64 player, and then
He's not as
Token, I
good as he
believe.
used to be, though.
I believe the other guy's name was Token, who I don't really know.
Yeah.
They're not as strong all the way through. Like they have more cracks than before, and so taking that win was definitely impressive. But
Yep.
I don't think that they win 9 out of 10 times against Ottawa. I don't even think they win 5 out of 10 times against Ottawa, probably. So I
I
would
feel
say that
yeah.
I don't think that on a regular basis they beat any team above them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think teams like JMU have proved that they've beat some good teams. Like I think Michigan. Honestly, I'd go as far as saying like Florida Gulf Coast. I
I
know
was
they're a
about to say
D2
that.
Reaper,
Yeah.
but I couldn't imagine them beating them more often than they're losing. So
Yeah. I think that was a case of them capitalizing off of like an early high, like early like success. They got the early hype and they kind of cashed it on that for Wichita, they feel like. Because they quite literally almost came out of nowhere in the qualifier. And stuff like no one was really expecting stuff um from them. But I
I
feel
think,
like them versus Davenport would be a really good game. Just knowing how Davenport plays, I
yeah,
feel like
we
that'd be
saw
more their
we
speed.
saw them lose 2 matches in CCL this week, Wichita State. So I think I'd expect to see them move down next week. Like I feel like we're gonna see them closer to the 20 range next week.
And I want to ask you both a quick question before we hop right into D2 top 10 that we put out. Should D2 teams be included in the top 25?
Yes. Yes. That's
Um,
I get the idea of differentiating the two, but there's not objectively, I can't say that. But there are teams in D2 that are better than teams in D1. Not advocating for myself at all, but like Florida Gulf Coast and Lamar are rightfully there.
Yep. No,
I've
I
always
agree.
stood, mainly this has been my uh what I've been going off of for like the ECPS like
Mhm.
rankings that we do. But to me, I think Florida Gulf Coast maybe could be a little lower just to put a little more, respect on the teams that, actually did make it to D1. Obviously, what they're having with brackets, that's gonna happen. Someone has to play a good team as well in brackets. It's just how it works. But I feel like maybe FGCU talent-wise definitely deserves to be there, but just for the sake of keeping some integrity at D1, maybe lower them a bit. Um, I would, wish it's possible. I wish we wouldn't have to wait to playoffs to see them play some of these D1 teams, especially like the ones around them in terms of the so-called
Mhm.
rankings. But they definitely, I feel like they deserve to be there. But I don't think we can just start going and putting every 5-0, 6-0, or 6-1 D2 team in top 25 because the more you have Lamar in there, sure, but I don't think I could see a third team in there just
Yeah,
because I feel like it would get a little out of hand and start to lose the
I agree.
integrity of the list.
Yeah,
I think
I
their
completely agree.
goal with having this qualifier at the start of the year was to have good matches like pretty early on because we played that whole season before resorting it last year, and I get that, but it was almost like we went from two like opposite sides of the spectrum. Like we had too thorough of a first stretch last year playing against a lot of like good teams versus shitty teams and stuff. And
Yeah, the
this year
stage
it's
one.
like this year it was like too punishing right away. It was like any little thing, like it was the weekend of a Challengers Cup, for example, and no excuses because we probably still wouldn't have qualified this way. But like one of our players was in a top 16 match for top 8. Like obviously he wasn't gonna dip that to play the CCL qualifier, but the one qualifier means a whole lot. So
No, I agree, and I think a few of these teams that we have in the top 10 could break top 25 throughout the season, especially the top 5. But we will hop right in here. Let's take a look over at Extra Creddy's D2 top 10 rankings that came out on March the 5th,
The
just a
most
few
accurate
days
list of
ago.
rankings that you need to be worrying about.
All that matters is that Pally is on the panel. Let's leave
Yeah.
it there.
I put together this panel, so maybe I'll speak on it quickly. I just tried to get an equal representation from every conference so that people couldn't bitch about biases. Like
Mhm.
there's always going to be a bias no matter how you cut it. Like I saw guys advocating way too hard for some of their teams. Literally everybody in the chat. That's not even centering anyone out. Everyone was going way too hard for their team. And I purposely didn't have anyone from Extra Creddy voting on it, so we didn't like skew any of it. But yeah, I tried to have as many different types of players, like some guys from top teams, some from lesser top teams, so that we could have a little bit of parity in the voting here.
Yep. So I'll
Yeah.
I'll read through this real quick. So we got FGCU at first. We got Lamar at second. ICC at third. Western at fourth. U Windsor at fifth. Oregon at sixth. York not so much around anymore.
We'll talk about
Maybe
that,
we'll
maybe,
talk
yeah.
about that. Yeah, maybe. It's at seventh. Cumberland at eighth. Shenandoah at 9th, and Baldwin at 10th. And then some honorable mentions are Ball State, CSFU, Keanu, Nebraska, Boulder, Niner, Colonel, MSU. MSU, we will touch on them soon.
MSU.
Esports Carleton
MSU.
and
MSU.
U of T.
MSU.
That's the people's champ right there.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
the people's champ. But who do you think could go up and down here? Going
My
into
first question is, who the hell is the controller logo?
Oh, that's
Who
that's
the
Cal
hell?
State Fullerton.
God.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an elephant. You see the middle of it? It's like a little
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
What the hell?
It looks like a
Um,
European plug.
They had a cooler
Yeah.
logo
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think that's the one that they use. I was a bit involved in this, and absolutely no slander to them. And I know there's some people in the chat that are going to want to slander them. But the reason that Baldwin Wallace is up there is not because of results. Absolutely not because of results. It was more because of potential. They seem to keep losing, and so they would probably fall out of that top 10 today.
Hmm.
But I think we look at Conwa, and like if anyone's played them, you know that Matty Meltz is a pretty good player. And so on any given day, I think they could beat some of the top teams on this list. We've seen that. They beat Western pretty convincingly. Like, we spawned in and we played Carleton that same day, and we absolutely shit slammed Carleton. No disrespect. And we got worked on by Baldwin Wallace. I don't know what the fuck happened that day, but they did some shit. But I don't think they're, like, they've lost. I know MSU wants to talk about themselves and how they beat Baldwin Wallace, but literally there's like 6 teams that have beat them in D2. Like, they're losing a lot right now. It's not like you're not going to get on the top 10 just by beating Baldwin Wallace, but Baldwin Wallace, I feel like, could beat a lot of these teams. That being said, I'd drop them out of the top 10.
I would too. I think U of T or Keanu should fit into that top. I think Keanu should, but
I think I've seen some things from that Nebraska team. They've held up good matches against people. They've played ICC close. I know that Windsor did take them to Pound Town a little bit.
Yeah.
But Nebraska has played teams close, it seems like, all across the board, and so I think they would be in consideration for me if I were to revote.
Honestly,
they're also fairly new as well.
Yeah, Nebraska played great last night. Like, I'm not gonna shit on them. Like, they played good against Windsor, and I'm also gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because they got iced for an hour because of delays in our first match. So that might have thrown them off. Starting at 11:30 isn't ideal. I'd also like to talk about why the hell is College COD starting matches at 9 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. when people on Eastern time have to go to bed and go to class the next day.
Because you're in the Midwest, bro.
Oh, I'm in the Midwest. Yeah, that's why they run Eastern time in the Midwest. Anyway, like, even Central is 1 hour back. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, and I know I saw Sean from St. Clair, their esports coordinator, I saw him bring something up about these match times. I know they were complaining because they had to keep their staff at, I think, until 1:30 at the school streaming, and those students had class at 8 a.m. the next morning. It just doesn't make sense. But that's your D2 top 10 right here.
Hold on, I've got to go rogue for a second.
Go rogue. I want to hear it.
We'll talk about it, but York, their ass, get them the hell out of here. I'm a skeezy.
Get them out of here.
Oregon, I mean, they were all right last year. I guess they just sucked this year. No reason they shouldn't be in D1 for the West side. Baldwin Wallace, their ass, get them out of here. I miss you better. Shenandoah, they're a bunch of lax players, but they're pretty cool. Cumberland, they tried to recruit like everybody in the world to come to their sorry program. They're terrible. Get them out of here. Windsor, I mean, they got better ever since they got rid of that Pele bozo. Get him out of here. Western, I think they can take ICC, but that Faden guy's got to grow up. Get him out of here. Lamar, they got to, stop worrying about Twitter and get on the sticks and grind a little bit. Get him out of too. And FGCU, just on top. But the one thing that doesn't need to change, at least to number 7, is we need to see Montclair State at number 7. And I'm tired of them not getting the respect they deserve. We need Montclair State at number 7 at least. They are the true goats and reapers of D2. They are coming for you. Nietzsche, Claw, they're coming for you.
You heard it here. You heard it here first. Montclair State's coming for you, your mom, and your brother.
Wait,
D2 Reapers.
Can I talk about something on the timeline?
Carlton's still asked, by the way. Carlton's still asked.
I want to quickly refer to this on the timeline.
Do you have a link? Send a link if you have it.
No, there's no link here.
Okay.
But just in reference to Montclair State, tippable for definitely a few tippable wins here. I would just like to say, stop fucking lying about forfeit wins on the timeline to make yourself look better. That was weird. That was real weird. They tweeted out that that in CCL they had 3 forfeit losses. They'd only lost 3 games, and they'd played us the night before and got 3-0. Like, come on. I get that one of their players was lagging a little bit. That's, like, whatever. But people fucking lag. We're from Canada, bro. Our best ping that we get is 30. You live in New Jersey. You get, like, fucking combined 30 ping on your team. Like, come on. That's just weird.
Anyone who lies about their fucking College COD D2 rankings are faded.
You can say that I'm dumb, but we scrimmed without our best 2 players and took
this is unnecessary drama that does not need to be spread on extra credit. All that matters is MSU in 3.
Anyways, I do. You did not almost beat anyone. What?
Eric, we're
actually
gonna have
weird.
a problem here in a second.
Okay.
I was trying to give you guys compliments. Just like be humble about it. If you lose, take it on the shoulder. Grow up. That's about it. Like it's pretty simple. Just
Yeah.
take your L.
Yeah.
We lost to Baldwin Wallace. We got piss slammed, torque slammed, shit slammed. We take it.
Okay,
It'd be
one
like that.
notable I do want to point out here is that Windsor in ICC in College COD right now, they're at the top of the Midwest group. I believe ICC is 8-0, even though it says 7-1. It's a glitch. And then U Windsor is 7-1, and they play next week. But I believe the match got pushed a week back. But that's gonna be pretty big.
I just gotta think we take Windsor there. I mean, their chemistry has looked undeniable ever since Pele's got dropped from the team.
I don't disagree. Pele is on.
I mean, Pele's just always been that problem guy. He's I want to play, but when he gets the chance to play, he doesn't perform, and that's just the way it goes. You got to perform when you're given a chance.
That's rogue. Rip to Pele. He'll be here next year to play, but the boys have picked it up, which is good. I also want to tip Western. They've been looking really, really solid recently. If they started scrimming, they'd probably be at the top of this list, but that's a different story for a
Agreed.
different day. We're going to pass right through the D2, because who gives a shit about the shitters, right? And we're going to go and pull up a little tweet here from our friends over at Montclair State. So, right here we got Claw. He's coming out on the timeline
Yeah,
to say
my boy
GG's to
Claw.
Carleton. They won 3-1 last night. They're shooting now. Shooting.
Decimated him.
They want to know, do they move up in the rankings next week? And they added Chugs.
Yes, sir. You heard your number 7 Montclair in the rankings next week. Make it happen.
Even though we're
Make it
never doing a
clear.
D2 again, we'll see you
Yeah,
sometime.
there was not plans to do weekly D2 rankings. That was just one little social experiment.
Don't worry. If it means I have to carry it on my personal Twitter, I will, just for you, MSU.
And then McBain's out here getting the GGs as he cries his way to sleep after a tough 3-1 loss to the boys at MSU. But anyway, we'll transition back over. Do you want to touch on the Buckeye land a bit?
Here, let's talk about that.
Anything I can pull up?
So, Buckeye, there is a thread of, I can link it to you quickly, of some of the teams announced that are going to the LAN. Not all of them are on there yet, but I can kind of go into a bit more detail.
Oh, I found it. Okay. So I can pull it up right here. So we have 16 teams, 2,000 up for grabs. 2-day collegiate only. For LAN being held by Buckeye COD in Columbus, Ohio, at the Game Arena. So the first team we got is Buckeye. Second team we got is Buckeye. Third team we got is Zips. Fourth team we got is Ohio, which are gonna get shit on. Baldwin is up there. It would be interesting to see if they can actually do anything on LAN compared to online. St. Clair, you already know they're gonna be up there at the top. Ashland, and
That's cool.
that's
They're bad.
that's
They're
all they
bad.
have right now. That's all there is right now. So I can already say it's gonna be St. Clair.
So some of the top, no, there's some top teams that aren't on there yet. Like
Not yet?
SIUE is going.
Oh, okay.
Michigan's going to that LAN.
Okay.
I heard, I don't know if OTSU is going. I know that they were talking about maybe trying to go. The other teams like Western were going. Trine is gonna go, from my understanding. I don't know if I'm forgetting any there, but nonetheless, it's like there's not really bad teams there, other than there's a couple academy teams, but I think OSU Academy's undefeated this year. Like, I think they're good for an academy team. Like, they're probably gonna go toe to toe with, if not beat, a team like an Ashland for sure. Like some of the lower teams as far as main teams go. Illini is also going, so you got.
Someone
You got,
said
like, 5 or
UNOA
6
is
ranked
going.
teams there. No, U of NA is not allowed to go, I was told.
They aren't allowed.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're paying
So
fucking
that was
rent
the
for the
rumor.
building.
I talked to Brogan about it the other day, and I guess they're not allowed to go to the LAN. Like, they tried to, and they got stopped. It's pretty whack. Yeah, I don't
Damn.
know. I think that they just thought
They
it
should
wouldn't be
sign a
competitive or
lease.
something.
They should sign a lease, and then maybe they can play.
Yeah. It's yeah, that would have been at least they would have had a building to game in for 2 days, right? That
Yeah,
that would have
that's
been a
true.
step up from their actual campus. Newbury is another team going. At least like that's a team that, from my understanding, they're on scholarship. So there's not really there's not going to be any bad teams going. Maybe when we have some more graphics, if we have one next week, we can talk about it a little more in depth. But yeah, that's just pretty exciting to see a collegiate LAN. I think it's the first actual collegiate LAN of the year.
And I have all the teams up here. You can see the players. They don't all have team names, but any notables here? We got Western on it. We have Northwood.
Yeah, that seems to be everyone.
That
No,
should
you do not have Northwood on it.
blame-
What are you saying?
Blames
What?
Michigan,
My
Shoofies,
bad.
Illinois.
My bad. Not Northwood.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, not bad. It will be a good tournament. I'm interested to see how things shake out actually on
They
LAN.
should
There's no
be-
complaining about ping on LAN, so
Yeah, they should be streaming it, so that'll be interesting enough. I think it's the same venue that they're playing the CCL major in. Sorry, the CDL major in.
oh, that's
Not
dope.
the CCL
That's
major.
dope. That's dope.
The CDL major, of course,
The
being
online
the
one?
with the one with no spectators and,
Yeah.
and all that shit because the New York one
Yeah.
ended. But
That's your Buckeye LAN. If you're interested, you can find at a
that's
Game
next
Arena
weekend.
C-Bus if you want to sign your team up and go. I believe signups are still going. Today might be the last day.
I know they were looking for one more team before. I don't know if they already filled that spot.
Yeah, it says
but
one pass remaining 3 hours ago. So if they haven't filled the spot, go fill it, go play. Let's have
dude,
some fun
Canadian
at LAN.
teams, it's only like a 6-hour drive. Come on,
I
make
know.
it happen.
I know.
Unless you're Keanu, then it's like a 400-hour drive.
Take a plane ride. Get
Yeah.
in the batter bus and drive across the country like good old university sports do. Okay. JMU. I know we talked about them a bit earlier, but where the hell did they come from?
Where's James Madison University? Is that Virginia? From there.
Thanks.
Should Farmingdale go? That's a question in the chat. Should Farmingdale go? Sure. That'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
Spades times Pookie times Bendy collab times Conwa collab.
Damn.
Other than that, do we have...
Yeah, we
do
can.
we want to open it up to questions from chat?
I have one more thing to pull up.
Okay.
We're just gonna quickly touch on Esports Canada post-secondaries top 10, the most recent one. We have another one coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. But this is a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I believe the only change we're really gonna see here, or I guess Eric can speak more on that, so I'll leave it off to Eric. What change do you think we might see?
Well, the York situation's interesting.
Yep.
York may or may not have a team, so you may see them drop a bit down.
Yep.
There was some issues with BattleNet ID tags not adding up, so we'll see about that one. And there's a little more to that. I'm sure that we'll expose it in due time if there's
Get him out of here!
Get him out of here. I think you're gonna see Windsor move up probably. I know that they've been performing pretty well. McMaster, I don't know that they have any impressive wins, and they lost to Fanshawe. Fanshawe probably deservedly should move up. They've been beating some of the other Canadian teams, so that should be good enough to do something. And I guess the question is, do we see Keanu slip in? Because
Keanu for number 10. They were getting some votes.
They did get some votes for sure. I don't want to expose anything yet, but Keanu definitely is back in the mix after that win against Westcliff.
And
I think
it's good to see.
It's just slightly on topic, but if you do not currently play on a CCL team, especially Canadian, you can talk if you're American, but if you are not on a CCL roster, you are not allowed to talk in this chat at Extra Creddy. Thank you very much.
Oh my god!
But honestly, it's tough. It's tough because Carleton, like, I don't think they're bad, but like it's like they lost to Fanshawe and they lose to Windsor. And I don't think they're a bad team, but it's like where do you fit them in the top 10, right?
Carleton beat Shenandoah. Does that make them top 25?
Yep, there it is.
It worked for MSU. So,
no, but MSU is different. MSU is climbing the ladder. You don't understand that MSU is next up, Eric.
I got a message saying, keep an eye out in active admins in CCL in the coming days. I'm not gonna leak who sent that, but someone.
Let me guess. Who?
Big Bane. You
Yeah.
were wrong.
Wickbane. You
So-
see, extra credit. You tune in, you get leaked information live from Chugs JD before it hits the Twitter sphere. That's why you
Beautiful.
gotta tune in.
Beautiful. Anyway, quickly, I want to pull this up. Trix asked a quick question on Twitter for us to answer, and it's about CCL teams playing in Challengers Cups. He wants us to talk about the pros and cons, and then how to build thick skin.
Yeah, I'll give maybe a bit of a hot take. I think that playing as your CCL team in a chat, especially if you're not like if you're Mars Hill, it's different. But if you're like not people who have clout in challengers and you're not getting points on a normal basis, you should not play with guys from your CCL school. I think you learn a lot more by playing with people outside of like who you're forced to play with in a sense. Like I look at Queens and I think that a lot of those Queens guys benefited from playing on their Aspire team that they were playing, maybe not even challengers, but like playing in leagues and stuff, like online leagues. I think that guys like Sue, even Bonk over at Fanshawe, like I think that those guys got a lot better by playing with each other, playing with people maybe of similar skill, having a team composition that's less forced, actually like fits their roles a little more, and just grinding outside of the CCL. So I definitely think that there are pros to, I guess, going through the ropes.
And I'm gonna just put out a con. Like if you're playing challengers with your CCL team and you aren't top 10, you're gonna have a rough go, and it might just mess with the chem. Like you're better off to get some scrims in instead of play challengers and actually get some solid reps that will get you somewhere. Whereas you might go into challengers and just get shit slammed. So, and on the topic of building thick skin, you just gotta. It's all mental. Like if you don't, if you're unable to keep your mental, if you're unable to keep in check, if you're unable to keep your comms clean, if you are able to like stay calm in total, like that's really important to some good success. And if you don't have that thick skin and you just lose full, you ain't ever gonna get nowhere. And I'm sure any pro player would say that. Like you see Bance, you see Cammy, you see a bunch of them. They used to meditate because that would help calm them down. You know, you gotta stay in that Zen mode. You gotta stay where you want to go to be able to be successful. So thick skin is important, and being able to maintain like a good mental and staying in the zone. That's something I always try and push in the teams that I've coached.
Do we have any other questions from the chat here? Can open it up quick times before we dip.
Any questions?
Wait, that Obad times Zyrox duo, I match made that, okay? Pele, justice for Pele. Pele definitely.
There is no
should be
justice for someone who should not be playing. This guy sucks. We do not condone suckage at University of Windsor.
Y'all
No
get
comment.
The team is just better without him, and that's just how it works.
U of T roster. I have no
We
comment.
couldn't even comment on that. We don't know anything about it.
I don't know. Yeah, what are you referring to?
What is U of T?
Is that TMU?
No, definitely not.
Actually, one thing I'll say is you can't have a Toronto College COD team without controversy. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I think now
they can't stay away.
If U of T is a part of it now, York's a part of it now. Ryerson's been a part of it. Sheridan, I guess that's the GTA, right? I think.
Yeah.
Close fucking enough.
Close enough.
Like,
yeah.
They're all involved.
All these fucking GTA fucking hoodlums, all these fucking Toronto mans keep fucking up the Canadian repertoire. St. Clair and us get the most shitty, probably Western 2 get the shittiest reps. Hey, I'm sorry, Obed, but you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? No, you make stupid decisions, you do stupid things, and you ruin the rep of Canadian teams because the way the CCL works, we are such a minority that you make one mistake and they believe that's all Canada. So I mean that's kind of the way it always has been, and there's a lot of bias towards Canadian teams. I think there are a lot of Canadian teams that could make some strides for top 25, but I mean fuck. Like
Just
let's just play Call of Duty Don't cheat. Don't ring. Don't download hacks. If you need to download hacks, fucking turn off your computer, get in your car, and drive off a cliff.
Yeah.
Cause
It's
you're
almost
dog
like
shit. Go fucking.
Oh, I
You're
forgot
better
about
off
McMaster. I
underground.
didn't
So
even think about the
it's
McMaster.
almost like the COD like way like how you brought up how, like that's like one like bad Canadian person or team does something and everyone like thinks like that. It's almost like that in like real life too. Like if you ever talk to some like
Yeah,
yeah.
not
you
as
aren't
educated Americans.
you aren't
But
wrong.
like even I'm not even joking. The other day, like 2 or 3 days ago, I was playing ranked with like someone that goes like in American school, whatever, and they were literally bringing up about how they were thinking about how they're talking about how the other day McMaster was using a key. I'm like, dude, first off, it's like 7 months ago, and secondly, I'm like they weren't hacking. They literally got slammed on stream versus St. Clair. But
Yeah.
I've even seen it in Twitch chats and CCL sometimes, people talking about like Big Head George and stuff. The guy just can't get out of the spotlight.
Wait, Big Head George, he won like comeback player of the year last year. That guy, he went
Yeah,
from like
that that
a point
guy that
seven to like a 1.1.
yeah.
I actually saw him do it on LAN last year. Like he's actually good. He's the best player on McMaster. Like this year, he is the best player on that team. So tippable.
Have you seen Hens play? I mean, that guy's
I
unstoppable.
mean, have you seen Speedy and S&D?
Yeah, the best S&D player, better than Fisher College at
Just
S&D.
just want to
Wait,
make
wait,
an announcement that
Speedy took me down.
Pele is a free agent for any team that needs to ring. Pele is a free agent for ringing.
Just remember that Speedy lost to me in a GB. That's all that matters. Most important thing is GB XPs this year.
Any
Yeah.
other questions, anyone? Ask us
I have
anything.
a question. Is Hens 6'7" or 6'8"?
When I
Uh,
saw him at the Toronto Major, 69. Yeah.
6'9", yeah.
69.
that ego might be 6'9", but that gunny ain't. All right, that'll be all from me this week.
That's a tap out.
Anyway,
GB.
before we go, any last comments on MSU Chugs?
Like I said, MSU to the moon. I can't stress it enough. MSU will be in Chugs' top 10 rankings in the top 5. If you are not respecting MSU now, don't join the hype train when we're top 3. Don't join the hype train when we are in the top 25 for the CCL. I want everybody right now to be putting Montclair in the chat. They're better than Western. Get those shitters out of here. Better than Conwa. See you later, TikTok boy. Montclair's here to stay. Montclair to the goddamn moon.
I
W
think
Chugs.
I think we got to be good on that one, right?
Oh, that was great. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to say something. I feel like that's what I was gonna say. So when I was touching on teams just being kind of ruining the rep of Canada, it also comes with a lack of proper structure in their club and varsity level. Like a lot of these schools are just 5, 6 guys who get together, make a Twitter, and play COD. When you don't have that proper structure with accountability, that's obviously what's going to happen. And you saw that with the Ryerson hackers and all the other shit that's gone on in Canada. So that's another thing I think Canada has to move towards, is just more structure, more accountability for their players. But other than that, if Chugs and Eric have nothing else to add to the conversation, or no one else to gas up or suck off, I think we're good.
I probably got to go change some diapers, in all honesty.
Eric's gotta
so-
go. to his
I gotta
dad
go
duty.
make some kids shit their diapers. That's what I gotta go do.
Hey.
Montclair State on top. Answer question. Hold on, Obed. Obed. What's your question before we get off here?
You got 10 seconds.
Yeah, you got 10 fucking seconds, and you better fucking hurry.
Speed it up.
Let's go, Obed.
Well, I don't think he'll even see it by the time that you say that.
Let's get those GTA fingers typing. Can we get on lounge instead of flanking Toronto Major? Yes, sir. If you do not see me on the flank, then it was a failed event.
We gotta try and get something set up. We gotta hit up
I'm so down.
our contacts and get something set up. We'll
our
do
anonymous contacts.
we'll do a parking
Wait,
lot
wait,
extra
did
Creddy
Did you hear
episode.
the news? I saw this on Twitter yesterday.
What?
Do you know where Zuma went to school?
Where? No?
Montclair State University, baby! Let's fucking go! Montclair to the damn moon! You heard it first. Wooma, Montclair State, make it happen, baby! Let's go.
Wooma, baby. Wooma, wooma, wooma. Okay, and we will end it there. We appreciate everyone coming out and supporting us for Extra Creddy. Continue to support us on Twitter. We cast some games. We post some tweets. And most of all, we try and cover and give everyone a little time in the spotlight. If you haven't already, make sure to follow the channel so you can tune in to future streams and podcasts. And follow our Twitter at Extra Creddy. This podcast will be up on our YouTube channel, Extra Creddy, Spotify, and if you want to watch it after. Other than that, thank you everyone for the continued support, and it's been real. Peace out. Have a good one.